In this episode, we're going to be talking to a energetic, brilliant young man who has done some amazing thing in his entrepreneurial journey. I mean, this guy's built 7 different companies. He's gotten to 7 figures, and he is keeping on, and he is going on further and further. And I can't wait for you to hear this conversation we're having with Josh Elledge. And before we get into this, go ahead and or podcast. Go ahead and subscribe to it. Give us a review. We work really hard to bring you some of this profound knowledge that could be helpful for your business. And we'd love for you to tell us how we're doing. So go ahead and give us a review. We'd love to hear your feedback. Give us a rating as well, and let us know that we're on the right track. So get ready as we dive into this conversation with my good friend Josh Elledge. Let's do this. Josh, it's so good to have you here. Welcome. We've been trying to get you on here. You're a busy man, but it's such a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for your time. Why don't we just start off by talking about you? Tell us who you are, and tell us what you do.
Yeah. So, serial entrepreneur. I've failed in business a number of times. Had about six. Some of them failed spectacularly. Some of them did okay for a while, but then eventually, made an exit. But business number 7 ended up doing pretty well. So that it became my first 7-figure company, and that was Savings Angel, which I launched getting on 15 years ago.
Wow.
That was a great experience because, when I launched that company, I had no money for marketing. And one thing I've learned is that exposure is everything, right? If we want to get customers, if we want market feedback, if we want to learn about what the market wants, you just got to get feedback. You got to get people to tell you what they like, what they don't like, and then, kind of keep dialing that in. So with Savings Angel, it's kind of between a rock and a hard place when I launched that, but it was media is really what I became a master of. And that was, getting on radio, getting on TV, started writing a syndicated newspaper column, all told now it's getting on over close to 2,500 media placements over the past 14, 15 years, on behalf of both Savings Angel and now Up My Influence. But that's that's all I do for advertising. I don't pay money for advertising. I think advertising is the tax you pay for being unremarkable. I would much rather be someone that gives a lot of value, is out there constantly serving and bringing value and helping people and teaching people, giving people tips, giving away information that other people sell. I'd rather just, teach people, based on my experience, and let them grow as a result of that. And in fact, so Savings Angel, was cranking away, life was really good there, rode the wave of, and Savings Angel, just so you know, is historically was a membership-based website. We would charge $20 a month. And, that ended up netting us, well more than $6 million in revenue in those little $20 a month memberships. But, I'd say about 7 years into that, I started doing a lot of pro bono work in our local startup community. And I'm here in Orlando, Florida, and just started helping a lot of women-owned, minority-owned, veteran-owned businesses and helping them get media coverage and saying, don't hire a PR firm. Here's exactly how to do it yourself. You don't need to pay anybody. Here's how you do it, right? And as a result of this, what ended up happening is when you go out and you just start doing stuff for free and you just start doing good stuff for people, is that you get rewarded. And where you plant your seeds are not necessarily where you reap your harvest. So, but what ended up happening is that other board members that I'd be serving on boards with, they'd be like, man, you kind of know something about this media stuff. Can I hire you? Right? So when you're just out there doing nice stuff for people, other folks are going to take notice of that and opportunities will come about. And so Up My Influence is another accidental company. And it was probably my, third or fourth accidental company. And in this case, Savings Angel or Up My Influence is where I spend 99% of my time now. But, our goal with Up My Influence has been twofold. Number one is to help business leaders and professionals, mainly a lot of B2B consultants. We turn them into media celebrities. That's historically what we've done. But what we really learned is that our greatest value that we can give is not just about helping them become famous. I mean, that's fun. It's nice to see your name in lights. Mm-hmm. But what we really learned that our superpower and our zone of genius is taking that authority, leveraging platform, and helping them get a lot of sales. Again, we only work with folks that are selling big ticket items, high level authority, consultants. That's generally who we work with. But I if they're making six figures, I'll work with them and get them to seven figures. That's what we do today at Up My Influence.
Nice. That's awesome. And so obviously you had a pathway to this point. And you got here, you mentioned 7 businesses. To tell us a little more about how did you get to being the Josh you are today? As I know you started out XYZ place. Now, how did you get here? Talk to us a little about that journey.
Oh, well, if we, way back when, right out of high school, I joined the United States Navy, and I didn't have enough money for college. I didn't know how I was going to get that done. Just kind of grew up, poor working class in the Midwest. Great parents, but we struggled. And so I joined the Navy and actually became a Navy journalist. And I don't know if you ever saw the movie Good Morning Vietnam, but I remember I had a transformative moment that I met the real Adrian Cronauer that the movie is based on, that Robin Williams portrays. And, he really inspired me because he talked about, the importance of serving your audience. And, not to spoil the movie, but the premise of the movie is that Adrian Cronauer ended up making decisions to side with his audience in order to save lives, and kind of got in trouble with the chain of command for not necessarily towing the line. And because, he talked about, having a sacred obligation to be honest and transparent and to truly serve that audience. And absolutely one of my heroes. And that message has always stuck with me, is that, if I have the gift of a microphone or a camera or something like that, or even social media or something like that, stop selling. And there's so many marketers that, I'm sure you've seen this, right? They just go into sales mode, and it's just kind of like, ugh, like it's fine. If you do have some kind of offer or something, like that's cool. I mean, tell stories about it or whatever. But when you wake up in the morning and your feet hit the ground and your first thought is, who am I going to sell to today? That's a tough way of doing business. I really want to change your thinking to be focused on service, right? Your feet hit the morning and, hit the floor in the morning, and you ask yourself the question, who do I get to serve today? Who do I get to bring value today? Whose life? And I have no idea, right? But I'm just going to keep showing up in the greatest way I can. And I'm telling you that when you do that, the universe will open up for you, and opportunity will open up for you, and you're going to get access to opportunities that other people are not going to get if you lead with your heart and you just do good by people.
Awesome. That's so powerful. I really love that. Just do good. And so we talked earlier about the tools and sort of marketing technology, just as a way of helping our audience with tools that they can use to grow.
Yeah.
And so I want to hear more about My Influence, and sort of how it's not a tool, but it's a service. But we know you use different tools in your lifetime,
yeah,
in your seat as Up My Influence founder. Talk to us a little about some of the tools now that you feel, or small business owners who are not as savvy, want to get to that 6 figures, want to get to that 7 figures if they're already 6, that they could be particularly considering and using if they haven't started yet.
Yeah, so I'm a huge fan of systems and processes. And so I think everything when you initially do something, right? Yeah, you start with what is it that I want to create? What do I want to do? And it's always going to be inefficient at the beginning. And look, that's the way that it goes, right? So if you're providing a service to customers and clients, for example, it's going to require a lot of personal time. You're going to spend a lot of your personal effort in order to get something done, but then you should always be looking for shortcuts, always be looking for tools, always be looking for platforms. How can we develop processes so that our users, our customers, our audiences can have a better experience? So, listen, I got to tell you that, one of the things that, we absolutely geek out on are, having a great CRM. If you are doing account-based marketing, in other words, you're selling bigger ticket stuff and you're likely having individual conversations to do that, by golly, you better be married to your CRM. And if you're still trying to do this on Google Docs and you're wondering like, man, why am I not making sales? It's because you're using Google Docs, right? So you got to get into a CRM and you're going to have to bite the bullet and you're going to need to become masterful at managing your CRM. And I want to introduce a concept that you may or may not, someone, listening to us may or may not be familiar with, right? And that's stages and cadences, right? And so stages, when you're having a sales, like you think about the whole user journey, right? So for us, we have about 15 plus new sales conversations every single week. Well, if my sales cycle on average takes about 30 to 45 days, so we now multiply 4 times 6 times 15, and at any given time, I'm having 60 to 90 active conversations. Okay, there's no way I can remember all the details about 60 to 90 people at any one time. I mean, some of them are a little bit more memorable than others, but your brain just can't handle that, right? And so you have to get good at knowing exactly where every single one of those 60 to 90 people are at any given time and what is next. So in your CRM, right? So we've used historically, I've really loved Pipedrive. I'm a big fan of that. I think it's a great solution. We've now moved over to kind of customizing our own platform. We built upon Go High Level our own system, which now, see, this is the thing, right? It's the evolution. So now, we've been able to graduate essentially from Pipedrive. Now we have our own custom solution where we have a lot of really smart intelligence. But here's the goal, right? So you have your stages. Stage is going to be something like, what's the major thing that you just got done with that person? So for example, it might be, we just had an initial call, or we just, we booked them in there. The first stage for us is client in, right? Or guest in, right? Then they have that first meeting get done, and that's the next stage. Now, if that's all they've done and they haven't had a sales conversation yet, okay, there's a cadence that follows each one of these major stages. And a cadence is, what am I going to be doing with that person every day until they either say, I don't want to buy, or I want to buy, right? I want to make sure that I show up in their life in a positive way. So this is where the magic really happens, right? Because the goal here is that when you're doing account-based marketing, again, account-based marketing is largely, individual, your sales. So you're having many, many sales conversations every day with new prospective clients. If you're an agency, if you're a consultant, you're used to, you know what I'm talking about. All right. So, you need those instructions. Your CRM, you're going to be taking notes about what's going on in the conversation, and then those notes and where they are going to instruct what you do on a day-to-day basis. So you kind of want to think about this kind of like putting on a Broadway play. And a Broadway play, right, is that the audience, in other words, the customers or the guests, should not know what backstage looks like. Backstage is a mess, right? It's organized chaos, but there's a method to the madness. So for example, if you do this well, you want to put yourself in a position where you can delegate a lot of this sales activity. So for example, your sales manager, your sales assistant can write in your voice, It's your content. It's your, it's like, hey, it's day 17. So an example might be, that you go and you leave them a positive review on their Google My Business page, or you go and endorse them on LinkedIn, or you send them a friendly, tip or something like that via email, or you give other value. Right. So if somebody comes into our sales cadence at Up My Influence, you'll see exactly what we do, right? Is that we institute basically 30 to 90 days of just generosity. And I'll get to the book recommendation, because don't worry, I've got some great book recommendations around this topic, but this is what you want to do. And I'm telling you that if you can master this system, okay, sales is going to be so doggone easy for you. As an agency, as a consultancy, you'll never have to worry about business or sales ever again. If you otherwise have a decent product, this is how sales get done today.
Nice. And that's amazing, because the CRM is so powerful. It needs to be a backbone of your central operation, right?
Yeah.
So, like, people sometimes make the mistake of thinking that CRMs are for the big boys, or it's for those folks who are already doing well. Who is tell us a little about, in your experience, like, who do you recommend CRMs for?
Yeah, everybody, because you can start at $29 a month. And, and your CRM is the backbone of your business. Right. And there aren't too many problems that can't be solved in business with more sales. Or did I say that right? Right. It is like sales pretty much solves every problem in business, right. and revenue. So, and again, I can't urge this enough. And again, you're welcome. We've got great content around this over at Up My Influence. You could, take a look at our blog. I talk a lot about this on our podcast, The Thoughtful Entrepreneur. On my YouTube channel, we talk a lot about this sort of stuff, but it really will change your life. So yeah, Pipedrive, like I said, $29 a month, I think, is their entry level. You can watch like AppSumo, and there's always CRMs that are coming across. Mm-hmm. Don't worry about having the perfect sales tool right now. You don't have to get into Salesforce or HubSpot or those sorts of things. Those are big solutions, and they can get a little complicated. My recommendation is start simple, but start now. Listen, if you want to move down the road and upgrade, you can always do that. Right. So for example, like, again, we built our own custom system on Go High Level, which we love that tool. But I don't know that I would have recommended that for, the beginning. At the beginning, Pipedrive was a good solution because it was fairly simple. And it's that, kind of like that Trello format where you've got the cards and you move them from column to column. That's kind of how Pipedrive works. It's got that Kanban format that's kind of easy to work with.
Nice. And I love how you say you've moved. So you right now in Up My Influence, you've basically used these kinds of tools to the point where you've now created your own, and you're building on top of that. So you came from your starting point was, we got to get these CRMs in place. We got to use this tool. It's got to be a part of our DNA. And until we're able to leap into other bounds and other territories, we've got to stick with that. And that's very powerful, because a lot of times businesses don't understand that, the Rolodex situation and the, like you call it, the Google Doc situation, you're using those tools for the wrong reason. So This podcast is sponsored by MeisterTask, the most intuitive task manager on the web. MeisterTask is an easy to use project management tool, makes it easy and fun and colorful to get all your projects managed in one place. As an entrepreneur, I use MeisterTask to help me manage all of my projects. I can drag and drop different tasks. I can assign key people to the task. I can set deadlines and schedules and enjoy just beautiful colors while I do that. So if you are interested in trying MeisterTask, go to meistertask.com/DMT tools. That's meistertask.com/DMT tools. And you can sign up for a free trial when you upgrade to the Pro plan. So get started for free today, and invite your team members and get productive together. Yeah, you gotta use the actual ones that are.
Yeah, well, Ricardo, here's what I want to help people avoid, and that is that I remember what it was like to have a great conversation with somebody, and they're like, yeah, that sounds great. And then they kind of disappear on you. It's like, wait a minute, what happened, right? I thought we had a good thing going. Okay, yeah. You have to understand, okay, it is going to take 8 to 12 touches before that person is actually going to buy, even when they tell you, yeah, don't believe them, right? That's good. That's a buying signal, but you are still going to need to lead in that relationship. And you're going to have to talk with them or have some sort of ongoing conversation. And you want to lead with generosity. You want to keep on showing up in their life in a positive way. And it is still going to take lots of touches before they buy. So this is just the reality of how sales works. And so if you're wondering why you have people that get excited and then they don't buy, well, that's normal. That's what everybody does, especially if you sell bigger ticket stuff to very busy individuals. That's the norm. We have about 95 clients that we work with. And so we provide a lot of coaching around this stuff. We build their sales systems, and we kind of like, that's one of the biggest things that's, that we get them to understand that it's normal when, people aren't pulling the trigger right away. It's just the way we all buy, right? We don't want to jump into something too quick. We don't want to make a mistake. Like, everyone's afraid of making mistakes. People are afraid of, is this legit? Is this real? So there's a lot of things that we got to do to earn the trust of the person that we ultimately hope to work with. And it takes a lot of touches. You got to build up the opportunity for proximity so that leads to familiarity. The familiarity leads to know, like, and trust. Know, like, and trust lead to, okay, sounds great. We're friends. I trust you. Sounds like a great opportunity. Otherwise, I have logical reasons for buying this now. Emotionally, like I'm caught up with you now. Now I'm going to pull the trigger. So again, this is kind of all of this, what goes into a buying decision from your customers.
Yeah. So you basically come in as now you've got a tool that you're using, a CRM, like a pipe drive or so.
Yeah.
You basically come in of my influence to be able to provide that coaching and guidance, how to really leverage that system that you've created to grow, essentially.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. So that is a big part of what we do. Now, I'll say that the biggest key differentiator, I mean, we're more than just, I'm not, sales consulting happens to be part of what I do. Our true zone of genius is that we fill sales schedules. And so when we have a consultant, again, it's not, sadly, it's not everybody that we work with. So forgive me if I'm going through all this and someone's listening, they're getting excited, and then they go to the website and there's, oh, shoot, I'm not a good fit. Okay. So there's only, the way that our model is that we actually will take a rev share position with our clients, but there's certain requirements that we know we've done this enough. Like, we know who we can hit it out of the park with, and we know who we're just not a good fit for. We've been doing this long enough, but yeah, so kind of what's really special about what we do is consultants that are selling big ticket items to hard to get people, right? If you're selling to CEOs of very busy companies, folks that don't want to jump on webinars, they don't want to sit through, I mean, the people who don't sit in attendance at Clubhouse and just listen in passively. Most leaders are too busy growing and building their business to spend a whole lot of time in this passive activity. They're not going to pay attention to your email drip campaign. If you slide into their DMs, they're just going to ignore you. That's who we book appointments with. And the way that we are able to do that is that you have to leverage platform, right? And so if you think about what it is that a business leader wants, what do they truly want? Okay. Do they want to jump on a sales call? Nope, they don't. Do they want to be recognized for what they do? Do they want significance? Maybe. Right. And if that's the case, how can you deliver that? How can you develop and grow your platform so that you can build that proximity, which leads to familiarity, which leads to know, like, and trust? So podcasts are a big part of what we do. We leverage, we design podcasts so we could build that proximity together. And again, it's an approach that, there's kind of two schools of thought when it comes to marketing. There's typical ascension model, okay, but ascension model I'll contend that ascension model does not work on big ticket sales, because your big ticket $500 clients are not the same as $5,000 clients. $5,000 clients don't have a lot of patience. They appreciate and they see all that stuff going on, but they don't have time for that. And they don't really need it, right? Their business is doing okay. They're not struggling trying to figure out what works. They know what works in business, but people like me, I hire a lot of consultants. I pay for a lot of services because it helps me grow my business faster. But I can't tell you the last webinar I sat through. Like, I appreciate that. I don't have time for a webinar. I don't want to learn everything. I'd rather just hire people at this point in this stage in business. And there's a lot of great business leaders out there. So you have to understand where they're at, right? Ascension model doesn't work. So instead, what you want to do is if you're selling like an $800 product, that's cool. Do ascension model and kind of work them through or whatever. But if you're selling like a $5,000 to $25,000 product, that's a different sales process. And you need to create kind of like, I live in Orlando. So you want to create a fast pass lane, a Disney fast pass lane for them if they qualify. And then just, hey, you go right to the front of the line. You get to talk big cheese to big cheese. And you get to have that conversation about how you can bring them value right from the get-go.
Awesome. Listen, I know staying in business for years. I mean, you've been doing this for quite some time, and I applaud you. And staying in this for years, I know it has not been easy. What would you say, tell us how you've done it and to stay in it and have grown so rapidly and tremendously. And what would you say has been the best thing that ever happened to you?
Yeah, and listen, I still have challenges on a daily basis, right? There are still things like, for example, psychologically, like we get in our own way as well, right? And so, but what I've learned is that if you stay focused on mission, purpose, values, if you stay focused on generosity and service, it takes the sting out of the bad stuff that is inevitable. You are always going to be disappointed. You are always going to have disappointments in business, right? That's just the way that it is. That's the entrepreneurial lifestyle. That's the way business is. Okay. So it's got, I remember one person telling me a long time ago, it's like, if you pray or, talking to the universe or whatever, you're talking to God or whatever, don't ask to take away your problems, because your problems are going to strengthen you. Right. But pray to become so strong that those things don't phase you. Right. And that's what we want to call. So it's when you have really crappy days, it's okay to have bad days. It's okay to have crummy days. It's okay to get punched in the nose, right? And in fact, that's the refiner's fire. It was my 6 failures in business that gave me the fortitude to become the man that I need to be so that I can serve my audience, my guests, my customers, my employees, my family. Wow. And so be grateful for, and I know sometimes it just sucks, right? But if you can turn that around to say, well, I learned another way not to do something, right? It's the wisdom from our experience, right? The fact that we've been doing sales systems as long as we have. Listen, we've made a lot of mistakes. And because we've made so many mistakes, we know now what not to do. It's like Edison and the light bulb. It's teaching knowledge, or I'm sorry, activity knowledge is the most powerful teacher out there. You do Arthur Schopenhauer, German philosopher, do the thing, have the power. When you do it, when you experience it, you remember it, and you don't make that mistake again. Generally, well, at least we hope you don't anyway.
Yeah. No, that's so powerful. Thanks for sharing that. Listen, like, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you would actually like to share with us?
Well, look, it's one thing I know about leaders is leaders always obsess on learning. They always want to keep themselves in a learning rich environment. The
Yeah.
fact that you're listening to this conversation right now, this puts you head and shoulders above other people that don't include this in their daily or weekly regimen, right? And so leaders are always growing. Leaders always want to learn from other people. So leaders are readers. You asked me for some book recommendations. I just share with you the three. Listen, I'll give you three book recommendations right now. One I just got done listening to, which I absolutely loved, is called Think Again by Adam Grant. And that one again helps us to get out of our own way, because there's so many ideas that are rooted in superstition, fear, groupthink, right? And so when we can truly, create and live in a learning rich and just being open to new ideas, that's really when we're able to move ahead much more smoothly, right? And it is honestly, it's the best book that I've listened to or read all year in 2021. Last year, my number one book was Atomic Habits by James Clear. If you want to get done anything, that is honestly one of the best books I've read on accomplishing things, like getting things done, goal setting, and that sort of thing. And the biggest aha or biggest takeaway that I got from that book is that champions do it bored. If you looked at my weekly schedule, it's nothing but the same kind of meetings that I have every single week, week after week. I don't change. I don't do different stuff. I mean, I'm running tests, right? But I don't really deviate from when you find something that works, you do it over and over and over and over and over again. I have had easily over 1,000 sales calls over the past couple of years. Okay. And you might look at that and go, geez, that seems inefficient. Shouldn't you just be, big deal-itis and doing these, 6-figure launches and all that other stuff? That's cool for other people. It's not for me. Like, I know what I do. I do it very well. And I do it over and over and over and over again. Champions do it bored. Yeah, I get bored doing something, but I know that that's what I'm supposed to do. And so there's magic in it. And then finally, I would say the book, the year previous, Bob Burg. I give this guy shout outs all the time. Go Givers, Sell More. If you really want to dive into kind of a lot of philosophically, what I'm talking about right here, read that book. He's got four books in this series. I like that one because it addresses sales specifically, which I know a lot of folks that are listening to us or watching us right now. That's what they want. They want more sales, and that book will help you get more sales.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then I know podcast is something too that you might listen to as well. What are some of your favorite podcasts that you listen to these days?
Man, so here's the thing. My own podcast, I do. This is going to blow your mind, right? There's some podcasters that do a weekly podcast. That's most of the podcasters, right? We were doing a weekly podcast. Then we bumped it up to 3 episodes a week. Then we bumped it up to 5 episodes a week. Then we bumped it up to a daily 7 episodes a week. And Ricardo, most months, get this, we are doing 14 episodes a week. And you're probably like, what? Why is he doing that? Right. And I can tell you it's because I know a little something about why we do that. Right. It is really, really good for business. So I hate to kind of give you a cop out on like my favorite podcast or whatever. But I listen, I love, so I love my own show not because I'm on it. I don't care about me, but I love the guests that I get to talk with. And you'll hear me when I'm doing interviews with them. I'm doing my own therapy. So if you want to hear Josh get therapized, I don't know if that's the right word for it, right? I love listen. I love my own show, not for me, because I'm not a big part of the show. It's about the guests, and so it's kind of like, when Oprah, talked about, when she talked about how she became the interviewer that she was. She just said, you know what? I advocate for my audience, but I just ask the questions that I want to know. Like, and no interview is the same. Like, I just really follow my heart on that. I also really like a lot of shows around, rational thinking, deconstruction and reconstruction of beliefs and ideas. And that's just kind of part and parcel to where I am in my stage in life. And I'm just evaluating everything that I believe in. And that's part of that book, Think Again. I really love that stuff. It's just asking myself, wait a minute, why do I think that? Wait. Why do I believe that? And being able to be introspective has been a really fun journey for me, particularly over the past couple of years.
Awesome. That's fantastic. And look, we're looking for creators and master users of different tools and different systems to actually help businesses to grow. And you said it right. I mean, I don't know if therapize or therapeutic. The way you said it, I don't know if it's the right word, but I get therapy too from just talking to greats like yourself. So I really appreciate whenever we've got you and anyone else who come on this show to talk about some of these things. But any sort of recommendation of who are some of these folks that we should perhaps be talking to when it comes to tools that can really help businesses to grow. There's so many businesses who are really looking for the next thing that could really help them. And it could only be one thing. It could only be a conversation with you, or it could only be a visit to upmyinfluence.com. It could only be one thing that could change your life. Any recommendations of who are some of the folks that you think we should be talking to in the next couple of episodes?
Yeah, look, I've recently become a real champion of Go High Level. So go find I don't know his name. He's on our list. I got to go reach out. I just have to get my team to go out and track him down and get him on the show. I really love what those guys are doing. Donald Kelly from the Sales Evangelist is a pretty good guy.
We had him.
I hope so. Go get Bob Berg, man. Listen, I like tools. I'm a big fan of tools. I believe that tools are important. I think, tools are, where they're a part of overall processes and systems, I think are really important. And again, systems, processes generally stem from philosophy, like, how can I better serve, and so, people like, I love guests who obsess on user journey and user experience. And I really think that that's what it all comes down to, because if you have really happy customers and users and guests, man, you're set. You're set for life. That's the goal, is how can we serve people better? But yeah, we still, always want to come up with, ways to efficiently, even things like repurpose content. Well, while we're recording this conversation right now, I've got a tool in our Zoom conversation that's doing a live transcript of what we're doing, because I'm going to take that, I'm going to turn that into an article. I'm going to take that, create video snippets. I'm going to share that so that I can promote Ricardo to all of my audiences, because that's good for me and it's good for Ricardo. And, if we help and serve one another, right, a rising tide lifts all boats.
Yeah. No, that is the best note to end on, Josh. I mean, it has been tremendous just having you here. What an energy that you've got, and I could feel it through the waves of Zoom and so forth. And I really appreciate your time, and I hope folks who are listening can really check you out. Like, tell us where we can find you, where's some place we can visit, and how we need to stay in touch with Josh.
Yeah, absolutely. So, look, if you're kind of earlier stage in business, you're not maybe quite at that 6-figure mark or whatever. Look, I just give away free help over at Up My Influence. I literally have put thousands and thousands of dollars into creating great resources. So when you go to www.upmyinfluence.com, hover over blog, and you'll see it. I'm going to blow out my 10 favorite articles, step-by-step, how to get verified on Twitter, how to, get speaking gigs, how to get, appearances on TV. Like I break down and I explain exactly how to do all that stuff. I explain like how I really geek out on audio and video to make sure you look and sound much better, on Zoom calls and stuff. I've got great tips on that. I've got a free authority transformation masterclass so you can watch. You don't even have to opt in. I don't need your email address. Like I'm good. Like I'm just there to help out. You can click and you can start watching video number 1 of my masterclass, and you don't even have to ever tell me you were there. But I've got like free resource guides and all my favorite tools I've got listed out, like how to measure your authority, how to measure your influence online, and what to do about that so that you can start making more sales. Now that's to everybody, kind of earlier stage in business. I do that. And one of our core values is democratization because, Ricardo, I had those people that were looking out for me. And, when I was earlier in business, and they helped me. And so we have an obligation to serve one another. And so that's free. And again, I got nothing to sell you. I got nothing for you to opt in on. That's just because I love you. If you're doing 6 figures or more in business, and listen, you can talk leadership with me. Right. And you can talk scaling businesses with me. And you're particularly if you're, consultant and, you've got some domain expertise and some domain authority. I would love to feature you on our podcast, The Thoughtful Entrepreneur. And again, you just go to upmyinfluence.com and you can see exactly, it's like, hey, we are booking guests. We would love to celebrate. You've got over 120,000 in our social media audience, and I would love to promote you too. So please go ahead and get carte blanche, go ahead and schedule away. And I'd love for you to be our next guest on the podcast.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Josh. I really appreciate that. I know we're on top of the hour, but so thank you so much for your time. And it was really, really great having you. It's not going to be the last. We're going to get you back here to rev us up again and to give us some more of this Josh therapy that you got going on. But
awesome, Ricardo. Thank you so much for having me.
Josh, that was an amazing conversation. I hope you actually enjoyed it. I hope you listened to some of the power drops that he was making. Folks, don't forget, like we're finding some of the best folks that are out there to help you to realize your growth and to control that growth. And Josh was here and he was just dropping some extreme powerful knowledge on us. And I really hope that was beneficial to you. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast, rate it, and give us a review. We'd love to know what you think about these kinds of conversation. Has it really helped you? Is it helping you? And tell us what your thoughts are. So until next time, I hope you did enjoy it. But until next time, we bring to you another episode. Choose a tool to rule your growth. Talk soon.